Wilderness Traverse is a 24 to 30 hour adventure race. We've got mountain biking, trekking, off-trail trekking, and canoeing, usually teams of 3 or 4. And basically they've got 24 to 30 hours to cover about 150 kilometers of really rugged Canadian Shield terrain.
The night before the race, 40 teams gathered in Orville, Ontario to receive their maps and begin planning their route for 150 kilometers of non-stop adventure racing through the wilds of the Parry Sound region. The morning would dawn with a fall chill in the air as teams gathered for the start of the race, eager to begin the next 24 to 30 hours of adventure.
We're getting really excited for the start of Wilderness Traverse, 150K through the wilds of Muskoka. Starting things off with a nice 4-kilometer run down the Seguin Trail and get to bikes, do some trekking after that, and then we'll go some paddling. The fall colors are gorgeous. Everyone's out here in hunter orange, and it's looking like it's going to be a beautiful day out here. So we're pretty excited.
The race began with a running leg on the Seguin Trail. The fast-paced start would push teams as they made their way through a picturesque forest landscape dotted with splashes of early fall color. While not technical, teams had to pace themselves as countless hours of racing still awaited.
So this year we started out with a trek, a 4-kilometer trek. It was kind of like a trail run. And then we had just a short 5K bike ride.
After getting on their bikes, racers sped off down a smooth and fast trail network that would eventually lead to an off-trail trekking section.
And they had about 6 kilometers of trekking again. And there they were going to, one checkpoint was on a lake, nice big feature, and then the other one was a bit smaller where a creek leaves a pond, so a little bit harder to find. And there was different options on how to get between those checkpoints.
Moving through the bush required careful attention to map and compass to ensure teams would not get lost.
We're working together as a team!
Is prepped?
Do it. I'm prepped.
Oh, appreciate it.
And then they biked over to Massasauga Provincial Park using the Park-to-Park Trail. Massasauga Provincial Park is just a beautiful backcountry operating park, and we did a great paddle from basically the north end to the south end. And it's very intricate, lots of islands and bays and channels and portages, so really tricky navigation. You had to stay on top of things in there.
The paddle leg through the gorgeous Georgian Bay landscape was incredible, despite challenges by persistent wind and waves.
Waves are getting really bad. We're out there in the boat. I was in the back, so the 3 people in that 16-foot boat, all the waves are coming in my face with everyone's spray. I was absolutely drenched when we came to that CP.
I'm very excited to be done for the rest of the race paddling. It was wet and cold, but we're doing okay. Now we just do some trekking.
Doing good now that we're warm. It's getting really cold there for a while.
We had a 30-kilometer trek, which was predominantly off trail. They had maybe 25% of the trek was on trail, and the rest was just off trail map and compass navigation, which really tested teams.
Teams were pushing through the difficult trek section, making their way across the rugged Canadian Shield landscape. They attempted to move as quickly as possible before darkness would set in.
What a gorgeous spot this is too. It's amazing.
About halfway through that trek, it turned dark. Some teams were doing the whole trek in the dark, and we had some really tough weather this year too. There was snow on parts of the race course teams were seeing, so it was cold and wet at night.
Pushing through the night, teams continued trekking to a series of remote checkpoints. Swamps, bogs, and thickets made for challenging navigation as racers pushed both body and mind onward to the final leg, a technical and lengthy mountain bike ride.
After that trekking stage, they had another 66-kilometer mountain bike to get back up to Orville, which is where the race started. And the mountain biking wasn't a picnic either. There was powerline trails, which are very rough and rugged, usually used by ATVs and 4x4s, so really rocky and lots of ups and downs. And we had a boat ferry at one point. They had to cross a river, so they put their bikes in the boats and paddled across.
Morning of day 2, Wilderness Traverse, and we're on the final bit of the bike leg back to the finish line. Bit of road and trail, and we look to be coming in strong. "26 hours, 150K. It's done.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Feeling really energized. It was a good run out there, and you know, a couple things that happened at adventure races happened, but we had a great time on course.
Good job, fellas. First race ever, man.
We're really lucky where we are in Ontario, in Canada in general, to have such big open spaces to play in and do these things. We're actually quite spoiled, so come join us for another adventure next year.